More, let me bring in former CENTCOM intelligence director, retired Army Lieutenant General Karen Gibson. Lieutenant General, always a privilege to have you, ma'am. Let me just pick up where Robert left off there. The ongoing fighting in Lebanon, the overnight strikes that have killed 18 people. Is that going to foil our negotiations with Iran?
Well, I think this just reinforces some of the concerns that analysts had when the MOU's text was released, we knew it would face some significant challenges in terms of interpretation, implementation, verification, and then enforcement. But to already be facing a test like this, the early results are not encouraging. Raquel did a great job of summarizing some of the key issues, things that were not in the document, like missiles and proxies, and then some surprises that were, specifically in that very first paragraph, outlining the need to end the hostilities in Lebanon in order to move forward with negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. So some key challenges there. One, holding potentially these negotiations hostage to the behavior of non-signatories. The nation of Israel, an independent nation state, and Hezbollah, a terror organization, and that they must come to some kind of agreement in a very difficult and fractious situation before we can perhaps continue these negotiations with Iran. That's pretty problematic.
As the MOU is written now and these 14 points, what's America's biggest win out of it? What do we get out of this, ma'am?
Well, I think the big win is, and supporters will certainly tout this, and they're right to do so, is potentially unblocking the Straits of Hormuz, that it would relieve this significant bottleneck that has been a drain on the global economy, that has disrupted oil markets, that has stoked inflation, and is really behind much of the domestic displeasure with the war in the United States. That is important. But I say potentially unsticks the strait. As we've already discussed on the program, there's a lot to be done before vessels can flow through. And one of those things is to build commercial confidence that it's safe to operate in the Gulf. And this kind of delay in negotiations is not a confidence builder.
Yeah, those cargo companies want guarantees that it's even safe to navigate before they start moving all that oil out of there. The other big question mark, too, is what's going to happen with, their nuclear capabilities and the enriched uranium. Take a listen, because Vice President Vance says Iran is incapable of rebuilding its nuclear program.
Nuclear weapons program is destroyed. It is gone. If the Iranians decided tomorrow to build a nuclear weapon, they simply don't have the capacity in order to do that.
Yeah, Iran's nuclear scientists, though, are still alive, and its stockpile of enriched uranium stays in Tehran during this 60-day window. That material isn't going anywhere for 2 months. Do you see that as a security risk? And how does U.S. intelligence monitor that during this time period?
So I think the vice president is right. They cannot build a nuclear weapon tomorrow. They probably can't do it in weeks. Maybe they can't do it in months. I don't have access to the kind of classified information that would be required to make that assessment. But we've had difficulty, and the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, had difficulty gaining access to some of the sites they wanted to inspect prior to this campaign. Certainly that hasn't improved, and getting that kind of those aspects of the verification and enforcement that we're supposed to work through beginning in Geneva with Iran are really important. I would say Iran's nuclear programs remain a concern, but they are not our only concern. Again, missiles and proxies that can threaten the region, and I think they've shown you don't need a bomb to disrupt the global economy. The tremendous leverage that they've demonstrated through their chokehold on the Straits of Hormuz, despite the depletion of many of their missiles and drones. It doesn't take a lot to exert that leverage.
And Lieutenant General, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if I were to ask you to look in one, where are we on day 61, and what's your confidence level that we have any sort of long-term peace agreement with Iran after this?
Yeah, so my confidence level has diminished somewhat, particularly with the publication of the actual text of the MOU and then this early test. Some of the things I'll be looking for short term, I think really important is Switzerland rescheduled? And if so, how quickly? We are clearly eager to begin the negotiations. The speed with which it's rescheduled will tell us how willing Iran is to negotiate. And certainly, throwing Lebanon in there in the very first point is a great mechanism for continued delay. The other thing I would watch for is the activity by Israel and Hezbollah. Frankly, it doesn't look good on that front. You have Israeli soldiers who are occupying southern Lebanon because Israel sees Hezbollah as an existential threat. Hezbollah is not going to allow that to continue. And if Hezbollah acts, Israel's not going to not defend itself. So I think that's a very sticky wicket that we do need to continue to watch. But the prospects, we're certainly not going to get a negotiation in 60 days. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I just feel like we'll see, to your point, if negotiations get rescheduled, because I feel like every day, 60 days, that's a pretty compressed time period. So I feel like every day is so crucial in a 60-day time frame.
That's not even a realistic timeline.
Yeah. And I know in the MOU it said you can extend it if both sides mutually agree to do so. So we'll see what both sides come to terms with. Lieutenant General Karen Gibson will be watching closely this weekend. Thank you for your time, ma'am, as always.
Thank you, Markie.